So today we're going to be checking out the new Azzaro Pour Homme Wild Mint. This fragrance caught my eye from the minute I saw the name of it. Wild Mint, that's pretty cool. It's a mint-based fragrance, and honestly, we don't really get too many fragrances that are based around the note of mint. I mean, sure, a good number of men's fragrances utilize it to some extent, but not often do we get ones that are solely focused on the note of mint, so much so that it is in the name. And of course, I mean, also you look at the bottle, that nice green gradient color there, which obviously is fitting to the name Wild Mint. This one really piqued my interest, so as soon as I saw that I was able to buy it, I picked it right up. And I did get this from FragranceNet. I will link it down below so you can pick it up as well. It's already discounted, it's already pretty affordable, in line with the other Azzaro Pour Homme fragrances, so it's definitely worth checking out. And of course today, I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm going to tell you my full thoughts on it, tell you how it smells, how it performs, and also if it's worth picking up and worth trying out. So I hope you guys are ready. I want to hear your thoughts on this one if you have tried it, also down below. And then again, I hope to see you at the end of the video, so let's get into this. So let's start off with the opening of this fragrance. When I first sprayed this one on, this was another one of those fragrances that just made me go like, whoa, that is interesting. Obviously, I was expecting mint, but this came off in quite a different way. It's a very invigorating, fresh, but somewhat syrupy sweet type of mint opening. It's almost like you get mint and also like chocolate, like this chocolate mint combination. Even though there are no notes of chocolate listed in here, there's actually only 3 notes listed on this fragrance. We have mint, we have a note called calypsone or something along those lines. And actually, if you look on Fragrantica, this is the only fragrance with that note. So I have no idea what that is. I'm not going to pretend to know what it smells like because I have no idea what that smells like. And then of course the last note we have is patchouli. So I can tell you straight up here, what I get the most from this fragrance is the mint, and more so in the dry down, the patchouli note. Now, I do think that sometimes patchouli can kind of give off this chocolatey type of smell depending on how it's used and what it's mixed with, and I have a feeling that's probably where I'm picking up on the chocolate type of smell that I get in the opening. But it's a very fresh, very invigorating mint. It smells amazing, and it's definitely something that's going to catch your attention right off the bat. As it starts to dry down, that chocolatey type of smell I was talking about a second ago kind of goes away, and then what starts to come in is almost a little bit of this menthol type of smell. If you guys know what I'm talking about, this like kind of menthol, you know, stuff you put on your chest if you have a cold, that sort of thing. I start to pick up on some of that, and I don't know if that's from the calypsone note that I was talking about earlier. I don't know what that smells like. I'm not going to try to pretend that I do, but I do get almost this menthol like type of smell from this fragrance. Again, it's not overboard. It's still mainly that mint that I'm getting, but there is something in there kind of in the background that is a bit different. And then even working farther into the dry down is when you start to pick up on the patchouli. It's green, it's earthy, it's a bit sweet, and you definitely know it's there. And then you still do get some of that mint in the far dry down, but the patchouli is really starting to fully develop and come into play a lot. So this is one of those fragrances where you have to like patchouli to like this fragrance. I know not everyone likes that note, so it's going to be kind of a hit or miss for some of you guys, but just got to keep in mind here, this is definitely a green fragrance all the way through. I mean, you know, one, you look at the bottle, obviously a green bottle. Of course, you look at the note breakdown and the name of the fragrance, you have mint and you have patchouli, 2 green smelling notes, the mint giving it some spiciness, you know, kind of like a spicy, minty, zesty opening, and then you have the patchouli giving it like a semi-sweet, earthy smell. So this is a fragrance that is definitely out of the norm compared to what we've been getting here recently in terms of new releases, and this is definitely a breath of fresh air for me. I've been picking up a lot of new fragrances lately, it's, of course, to keep putting out content on the channel, and you know, it does get to a point where a lot of them kind of share similarities. A lot of them are kind of in the generic crowd of things, and they don't really impress me all that much or, you know, really kind of catch my attention. But I got this fragrance in a recent haul. Out of all the other ones that I was smelling, this is the one that stood out to me the most, just because it's different. It's something a bit new. It's something different. Now, this is obviously an Azzaro Pour Homme flanker. To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure why they made this a flanker in the Azzaro Pour Homme signature series. And the reason why is because really this doesn't smell like Azzaro Pour Homme. Obviously, those of you who know Azzaro Pour Homme, it's an aromatic fougere barbershop fragrance. Even Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, although it is a bit different, it's got cinnamon and some rum, it still does kind of nod back to that aromatic fougere, just the original Azzaro Pour Homme. So those are that one's a really great flanker to the original. This one, however, while it maybe does have some maturity in here from the patchouli note, it's not, by any means something that I would consider a fougere fragrance. It just doesn't have that going on. It is an aromatic fragrance, but not a fougere, not an aromatic fougere. It's not a barbershop type fragrance like Azzaro Pour Homme. And I get a lot of these companies do make flankers and change them up quite a bit, but I don't necessarily see the reasoning behind this one. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm the only one that thinks this way, but really doesn't compare all that much to the original Azzaro Pour Homme, aside from, of course, sharing the same style of bottle here, which does, I have to admit, look pretty nice. They released the new fragrance Azzaro Sun. They released the new Azzaro Sea and Azzaro Fun. Those are obviously in a new line of fragrances in new different bottles. I don't necessarily see why they couldn't have done that with this fragrance as well. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but that's just kind of one of the things that I thought of. So let's go and talk about when you can wear Azzaro Pour Homme Wild Mint. This is definitely a fantastic spring fragrance. Now, I wish I would have got this before I released my top 10 spring fragrances because it probably would have made it in the list. Now, would it have made it high up? Probably not. I mean, to be honest, this probably would have made it around number 10, number 9. And the only reason why that is because it's a relatively new fragrance to me. I haven't had enough time to really fully test it out in the spring weather. So it would have made it a little bit lower on that list. But nonetheless, it still would have probably made the list. So, I wish I would have gotten it before I made that video. But yeah, definitely a spring fragrance for, those kind of mild spring days when it's a little bit chilly in the air. This would work perfect. Could it work in the summertime? Yeah, it could, but I would say you want a little bit of cool air to kind of counterbalance that heavy patchouli note that you get from the scent. This is definitely going to be on the casual side of things, nothing dressed up, nothing night out, nothing date fragrance. It doesn't really come across that sort of way. Now, this is one of those interesting fragrances where I have to be in the mood to wear it. And that is one thing that comes to my mind every time I pick this fragrance up as I've been testing it. I'll pick it up, I'll smell it from the atomizer, and I'll be like, I'm not in the mood to wear this. I really have to be feeling like it to wear this fragrance just because it is a bit different here. It's not anything that is clean, fresh, easy to wear in that regard. It's this minty, somewhat chocolatey smelling type of fragrance, and it's definitely nothing that smells like a men's cologne. You smell something like Sauvage, like Dylan Blue, like any of those types of fragrances, it smells like a cologne. It smells like something that a guy would spray on to smell good. This does not smell like that. Even Azzaro Pour Homme, it smells like a cologne. This does not really smell like a cologne. I mean, it smells like chocolatey mint with some patchouli in there is really kind of, a good way to describe it. So, it is something that I do have to be in the mood for. I had to be kind of somewhat craving for, and obviously I have been making myself wear it so I can test it for this review. But I can say going forward, not something I'm personally going to be reaching for all that often. If I want to wear something different, to kind of change it up, then yeah, I will reach for the scent, but it's definitely not going to be anything that I would wear every day. This is by no means something that I would see as like a signature scent, something to wear all the time. This is kind of something you have to be in the mood for. And I do think that that is pretty cool. It's almost like a niche fragrance in that regard that, there are certain niche fragrances out there that are just so different and odd that you have to be in the mood for. And again, kind of the similar thing here. This is definitely nothing like we're normally used to smelling. And again, really nothing like the original Azzaro Pour Homme or any of the other flankers. Now, let's talk about the compliment factor on this fragrance. And, really, I can't see this being something that's going to get you a lot of compliments. I mean, sure, it does smell nice, but I can tell you right off the bat, there's nothing sexy about this fragrance, right? There's nothing about it that's really going to make people go like, oh, what is he wearing? He smells so good. It doesn't have that type of appeal. Almost every other fragrance, for the most part, that I talk about and review and stuff, has something about it that has a little bit of a sexiness, whether it be something that's extremely woody, something that's very, musky, something that's very warm and sweet, something that's very, fresh, sharp citrus, ambroxan twist, out of the shower, those types of fragrances. All of those can relate together in the fact that they have like a sex appeal about them. They have, something that people would look for in a men's fragrance to be attractive. This fragrance, it doesn't really have anything like that. There's nothing about it that's really screams out like it's going to be a compliment getter. Am I saying that it won't get you compliments or feedback? No, I'm sure people are going to be saying that you smell good, you smell different. Just do realize it's not going to be a blue fragrance. It's not going to be your typical mass-pleasing designer fragrance that gets you positive feedback. So that's one thing you'll want to keep in mind when you're going into this fragrance. If that's a deal breaker for you, then well, you'll want to consider that. Overall quality of this scent is pretty good as well. Again, it's an Azzaro. These are discounted pretty cheap, but for the price you pay, you get a pretty good quality scent here. And in this case, not only scent quality, but also quality of the DNA and just really creativity definitely gets high marks in my book. I mean, this is something new, something refreshing here. Really pretty cool, and I do appreciate it for that. So I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this one up. That is my review on Azzaro Pour Homme Wild Mint. Overall, a really cool name, really cool bottle. I think this one is really quite interesting. Again, not going to be something I'm personally reaching for a lot, but on the days that I am craving something a bit different, a bit out of the norm, I will definitely be picking this one up, especially here in the springtime. So again, this will be linked down below if you want to check it out. It's pretty affordable if you want to take a shot and see what the hype is all about, or I guess there's not really any hype. I haven't seen too much information on this, and I'm not hyping it up. I don't want anyone to think that, but if you do want to see, your thoughts on this fragrance, you can check that link out down below, pick it up at a discounted price. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. If you have tried this, let me know what you think down below in the comments. So that's going to do it for me, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night with another one. Take care.